Pamela, with romantic comedies, is falling in love really supposed to be funny?
Well, falling in love seldom is funny. Now, it's hopefully fun, but I think what romantic comedies and the funny look at the situations can do for us is it can make it easier for us to take a look at what happens and how frightened we sometimes get of the changes that are happening when we start falling in love and the resistance that comes from within and often from without, from friends and family who go, what are you doing with that person? And maybe society's strictures against who you're falling in love with. So to take a comedic look at some of those situations can be helpful because then you can go, oh, okay, other people have faced this kind of situation. Here are some solutions. Maybe we can work that out too.
Well, I know in looking at your book, Romantic Comedies, you used one of the case studies of, I think, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And it sounds like we're talking a lot of the similar things where the family was so strong that they only wanted, they were very possessive, and also too, they had her sort of as this one type of person and kind of gave her the impression she couldn't have another type that was the beauty of the film, that two opposites came together.
Yes, it's a very good example of that. And I think it's also a good example when we say falling in love, note the word falling, okay? You're going from one position as the daughter who always does it this way, as the member of the family who this is the way we do it. You're falling into a different realm. And I've often wondered though why we don't slide into love, okay? It's not a horizontal movement, or why we don't rise into love. But of course, if it's well done, you do rise up. You do have that uplifting of your spirit. But falling in love, you're falling off that level where you've been. You're going to a different realm. It's a different world. And so I think the beauty of romantic comedies is that it can make it a little bit more palatable to take a look at the things that happen to us.
Now, why do people love romantic comedies? And I realize not everybody does, but we all have a soft spot for at least one.
That's true. We all do have a soft spot for at least one. Now, I will admit, when the publishers came and we were talking about a new book, Ken Lee said, oh, there's this study that's been done and we think that maybe that would make a good book. Well, what was it? He said, well, couples who watch romantic comedies together versus the other group of couples who went to couples therapy, an amazing thing happened. The stay together rate was higher for those who watched comedies together and talked about them than it was for those who went to couples therapy. Now, I still think couples therapy is a good idea, but until you get to that point, romantic comedies. Now you say, well, does everybody like romantic comedies? Frankly, I didn't that much when Ken and I were talking about this. And he said, well, we think you'd be a good person to write this book. I said, I do mythology and military stuff, right? And adventure. He goes, no, you'll do a good job with it. Well, thanks to he and Michael Wiese of Michael Wiese Productions. It was a group effort on constructing how the chapters would be laid out and how we'd approach each film. So me, a person who was not that much of a rom-com fan, I actually became one through the process of writing this book.